Back all the way to Ely to be with us at Tuesday group. The topic of discussion today is tourism and jobs. Other candidates have been here haven't mentioned tourism, strangely enough. Tourism is a very important part of our business up here, I think, and it keeps us going. And we appreciate you coming up all the way, Mark, on the 5th day before the election. And we wish you good luck, and we want to give you time to come up here and talk to people. Afterwards, we can have a discussion, ask all kinds of questions. And we'll become informed for our Tuesday election. Right. Thank you so much, Mark, for coming. I'm not sure how that works. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for moving Tuesday to Thursday. Thank you very much. And I do remember very well being here earlier this year. 6 months, I always say a year is a millennium in politics, so I guess about it seems like about a half a millennia ago the way political time becomes. And that was part of my 87 counties in the 87 days tour, and I think I recounted back then. I remember being here for the groundbreaking of this building back in the fall of 1984, if I recall, because I remember bringing my son Eric, who was, you're shaking your head, no? Different time? I believe Eric was 4. That's how I sort of marked the time. But if I have it right, anyway, that's my recollection. And that was here because it involved participation of the IRRB, as well as then the Economic Recovery Fund that was set up with the help of the initiative of Governor Perpich and the help of the Minnesota legislature. It's a fund that's actually still going today. It's going on, changed the name now, the Minnesota Initiative Fund, but investment fund. But to me, it's an example of how the public sector can work cooperatively with the private sector in a way that has a lasting benefit to the economy of the city and this region. I had said, actually, I had this meeting, Steve, set up to be hopefully a discussion or a meeting, and so I hope we can have that, where I could listen to all of you and go ahead and respond, but get your ideas. The theme of my final week here is jobs for Minnesota. And tourism, as I recognized all these years, being Commissioner of Economic Development for Minnesota twice, is vitally important to Ely and vitally important to northeastern Minnesota and to our entire state. And as I've learned through my meetings here in Lutsen, Grand Marais, Brainerd, Alexandria, other places where tourism is so very important, the state's investment in tourism has lagged in the last years, particularly compared to other states. And actually the situation is comparable to the way I recall it when I came into state government and was working then for Governor Perpich, who really had the recognition, which gave me the awareness first of the importance of tourism to our state, and the recognition as he did, even coming out of the 1982 recession, of the importance of making those additional investments as he did in 1983 and 84, so that we could realize that economic return that comes from tourism as a multiple of the state investment. So I'm interested in your views on how the state could be a better partner with your businesses, with the industry of tourism, and also any other thoughts or suggestions or ideas that you might have. So let me just throw it open with that. Just say again, thank you for Steve for putting this together. Thank you so very much for having us here today. And great to see some snow on the way up too, Minnesota in October.
Well, you always get here on the shoulder seasons, Mark, so you don't see too many tourists.
I'm an old hockey player, and as a kid growing up, of course, there are only like 2 indoor rinks in all of the metropolitan area, so we used to wish for cold weather and frozen ponds as early as possible.
Well, you might get your wish this year. You know? One of the questions that I would have is, Ely is kind of the capital of canoe country, and Minnesota is certainly the capital of canoeing in the United States. I was wondering if we could do something to help promote. We have a manufacturer in Winona who makes wonderful canoes, another one across the river in La Crosse, but as governor, could we possibly have a governor's opener for canoe season? I'd like to come up.
You got a tax hat for your advertising.
Sure, well, Pat.
Multifaceted.
Yeah,
But I
we can go with the roll.
And I need the exercise too, you see, so that would be good too.
We'll be happy to supply a little exercise, and maybe, you know, with 50,000 plus, or I think maybe it's more than that, registered canoes. This is it's a big business.
So it's a non-motorized
It
opener.
would be a well, let's just call it the canoe season opener. Yeah.
Let's see what happens on Tuesday, and then I'll look at it.
Okay, all right, we'll talk.
I remember being up in the BWCA with my two sons, were about ages 5 and 9, as I recall, with a couple of friends, and this bear came wrestling through, and I suddenly realized we were all three of us in the same tent, and my 5-year-old was sort of, you know, like a snack size to a bear. I must say I didn't get that much sleep the rest of the night.
Well, now we have the Bear Center, so we can educate everybody about what bears are really like.
I was up in Alaska 2 years ago with my son, on a trip, father's son, and eldest son, and before you could get into this one national park, you had to watch this film and actually even have a certificate if you'd seen it. And they had Kodiak bears up there, and I learned that way that a Kodiak bear can run 50 yards in 3 seconds. Run faster than a racehorse.
That's why you want to be with somebody who's
bears here riding that quite as fast. Actually, at that point too.
Whenever I do canoe trips in bear country, I always bring somebody that's slower.
Yeah. And you'd want to be with me, I guess.
Who's got a question for Mark? We can start over on this side, maybe. I know we've got some tourism operators here.
Good.
Emily?
Well, there's a great concern about the possibility of sulfide mines and tourism, and you know, what happens if one over the other. Can you speak to that, or?
Well, you know, I served again as Commissioner of Economic Development twice, and I've always believed that sound economic development and strong environmental protection are complementary objectives, and they obviously have to be. As people up here taught me, you know, the people up here are tremendous environmentalists because your children drink the water and breathe the air even more directly than anyone else in Minnesota. So, you know, that process is one, the review process is one that's been ongoing now for, I believe, almost 5 years. The EPA, it was about 6 months ago, you know, gave it an F rating, so they went back to the drawing board. So the process of the EIS is initiated again, and I believe it's about another year to year and a half before the will come to its conclusion. If I'm governor, I'm going to appoint a commissioner of the Department of Natural Resources, a commissioner of the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, and people I trust, and certainly will have involved along with the other professionals. And you know, I'm not going to pass judgment until the process unfolds, but no one's, certainly I'm not, I don't believe anybody in Minnesota is willing to sacrifice environmental protection, and on the other hand, you know, what we want is job creation, and so we'll just have to see how it proceeds.
Who else?
If I kind of tag on that a little bit, one of the concerns about it, because environmental protection has been ignored before, and there is ongoing toxic leakage like in Dumpa, which is like 25 years old and hasn't been cleaned up. And I think that because the region needs jobs so much, and because it has a history in mining, that there's a willingness to kind of overlook or deny how horrible sulfide mining could be. And it has never, ever, any place in the world been done successfully without leakage. And that's a huge thing to me. It isn't like the taconite mining, and it isn't like it can be modified or something from somewhere else. So I have been relieved that this process is taking a while, but it has not been shown anywhere. And Wisconsin has a policy that they put through that says that sulfide mining cannot happen unless it's completely proven that it can be safe and that there will not be leakage. Because this isn't the same as the taconite mining. This means sulfuric acid, arsenic, those kinds of things in our water. And there's even people here that fight testing the water at this point, even when they own property on those lakes that would be affected. And to me, that's denial and fear. So.
Well, again, you know, our most important responsibility we have is to steward our natural resources wisely for ourselves and for future generations. So I certainly would not sacrifice current or future safety of our citizens and the citizens still to come. So, again, if I end up being governor, then it's inappropriate for me to prejudge the outcome of the review process. That's what the review process is supposed to do. But, I've learned enough so far, and I will learn a lot more if I'm elected. And that there are unique features to this, absolutely, and those absolutely need to be taken into consideration in the review process, and that's why it's one of the reasons that it's gone on for as long as it has.
Patty had a question over here.
Well, actually, I wanted to make a comment about that. One of the things that I've realized, and I didn't realize it was as prevalent as it is that a lot of the people, even in this community, do not understand the difference between non-ferrous sulfide mining and the iron ore mining that's going on now. And that because of that, they don't understand the objection even. So I guess on some level, we've done a very bad job of explaining what the difference is and how dangerous it is, and that it actually has never been proven that it can be safe yet. So, that said, I am in the same boat as you, and you were saying that you think it's a denial. I actually think it's that maybe denial plus just not understanding. And the reason I said that, I was talking to my banker one day, and he said, well, why are you objecting to this happening? And I said, do you understand the difference between these mining? And he didn't know, and he's my banker. Now that's pretty stunning to me. And I explained it to him, and I said, you need to research this before you make a decision on this kind of an issue. So if he's that much in the dark, think about how many other people are that in the dark about it. It's not, it's almost like maybe we just need to make it crystal clear somehow just what is the difference here. Why are we fighting?
Bill is over in the corner. Yeah.
Hi, Mark. My question is, or a little bit of a comment, is that with copper nickel mining, yeah, we're all looking at being concerned with our environment, and that's very good. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think if we do these projects environmentally responsible, we can save our environment and create the jobs. And I think with looking at green energy, the copper that comes from these mines, you need copper, several hundred pounds in those wind generator motors to generate the electricity. Your electric hybrid cars, you need 40 to 50 pounds of copper in every one of those motors. Your lead batteries and stuff in those cars to power those motors is needed to make those batteries. The platinum, that's used in catalytic converters to make the air clean. All your cell phones, computers, iPads, iPhones will take those platinum group precious metals, the gold and silvers and things like that, for the construction of those devices. And everybody wants those things. So if we don't do it here and do it environmentally responsible, it's going to happen somewhere, maybe where there are no controls, and there's going to get pollution into the world somewhere. And you're going to have pollution there. And if we can take it here and do it environmentally responsible, it's much better for us here to take care of it and do it the right way.